Welcome to the Explainer. Picture this. You are stepping directly into the cinematic atmosphere of SoFi Stadium under those massive, bright lights. It's preseason week 2, Thursday, August 20, 2026, and we've got a seriously fascinating clash between the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Chargers. So let's dive right into this tactical blueprint. We aren't here today to just casually scan a roster sheet. We are breaking down the exact shapes, the tactical routes, and the pressure packages these two teams are actually implementing down on the grass. Now you might be wondering, how do we actually evaluate a matchup when we have absolutely no idea who's starting? It's kind of the ultimate preseason puzzle, right? Since we don't have established current season indicators to lean on yet, things like EPA per play, pressure rates, or verified third down conversions, we have to pivot. We're looking entirely at operational signals and scheme implementation. We are judging the process itself, the pre-snap motion, the timing. We're looking way past the regular season box scores.
And there's a massive piece of scheduling context we need to talk about right out of the gate. The 49ers and Chargers actually wrapped up a joint practice in El Segundo on August 18th, literally just 2 days prior to kickoff. Why does that matter to us? Well, because that shared, highly controlled environment often acts as the true game for the established starters. It severely limits veteran exposure for this actual stadium fixture. So our focus tonight naturally has to shift toward the depth chart and how effectively the reserve units can execute the scheme.
Which brings us to the macro storyline of the night. On one side of the ball, we have the San Francisco 49ers, bringing Kyle Shanahan's organizational continuity. We already know their broad problem set for defenses, making linebackers hesitate with motion, condensed alignments, and heavy play action. On the flip side, the Los Angeles Chargers are right in the middle of a schematic transition under their new offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel. But here's the catch. McDaniel spent 5 seasons on Shanahan's staff. They speak the exact same tactical language. That means trickery just isn't going to work tonight. This game is going to be won purely on execution. The line calls, the timing, the footwork, that's what will decisively dictate who controls this game. All right, Section 1. 3 critical matchup duels. Let's get down to the turf and look at the matchups that really matter. Duel number 1 is all about the quarterbacks going up against disguised coverage. We are explicitly watching how these quarterback rooms process the post-snap picture in real time. Can they recognize a late safety rotation? How do they handle simulated pressure? The evidence-supported winning response here is fast, accurate identification. If a curl defender expands, the quarterback needs to just confidently take the flat or the check down. It's about throwing defied answers versus single high looks, and above all else, protecting the football. Taking a check down against expanding defenders is vastly more predictive of regular season health than a quarterback who just drifts backward, holds the ball for a third hitch, and turns a totally clean pocket into a sack. Moving on to Duel 2, we're looking at the trenches and run fits. The Chargers have stated a really clear intent to run the ball with their backfield room of Hampton, Mitchell, and Vidal. So the crucial point for them is interior block displacement. Keep an eye on the Chargers center and guard. Can they displace shaded defenders? Can the backside tackle actually hit their cutoffs on zone concepts? If LA establishes this early, it creates highly manageable 2nd and 5 to 7 situations. Conversely, for San Francisco, we need to evaluate the reserve O-line communication against the Chargers' edge containment. And here's a little pro secret for you. A 2-yard gain right into an unblocked defender is a completely failed process, even if a broken tackle miraculously saves the play later in the box score. You really have to watch that initial contact.
Our third key duel takes us out to the perimeter, skill players versus tackling. The evaluation here heavily prioritizes assignment discipline over isolated pass breakups. The Chargers receivers absolutely must create separation right at the break and finish through contact. The 49ers defensive backs, on the other hand, have to rally, set the edge, and make the tackle before a shallow completion magically turns into an explosive gain. So when you're watching at home and you see a 20-yard gain, ask yourself, was that a beautiful design, or did a backup safety just completely blow a tackle? You've got to classify those explosive plays by their root cause.
Okay, Section 2. First 30-minute cues. These are the live signals you need to track right after kickoff. So what are the operational signals to track before the scoreboard even really matters? First off, note the quarterback series count and the offensive line continuity. Basically, who is actually playing? Next, look closely at McDaniel's offense. What exactly is the shotgun to under center balance? You also want to pay close attention to early down success rates. Are we seeing repeated 2nd and 6 or better outcomes? That proves the team is effectively staying ahead of schedule without having to rely on perimeter gimmicks. Over on the defensive side, the golden standard in the first half is whether a team can rush just 4 defenders while maintaining total run fit integrity. If you can generate organic pressure without blitzing, it permits way more coverage disguises and lets you control the tempo. Moving to Section 3, late game flow scenarios. Let's map out the strategies to watch as we push past halftime.
We've mapped this out into 3 very specific game states. State 1, Chargers lead early. Expect San Francisco to immediately test if that lead was built on first unit usage or if it's actually sustainable reserve execution. The Chargers have to protect that lead with efficient runs, avoiding those long, risky dropbacks. State 2, 49ers lead early. If this happens, the Chargers must stubbornly preserve their new offensive structure, the motion, the play action, the quick answers. What they can't do is devolve into isolated deep drops that expose their backup tackles to strip sacks. And State 3, a one-score game entering the fourth quarter. If we hit this scenario, field position and conservative, clean execution take total priority over taking any aggressive risks.
Section 4, Special Teams and Field Position. Let's talk about the hidden yardage.
Look, because we are dealing with totally unverified offensive snap allocations and heavy reserve rotations, set-piece context has an outsized impact on expected points added or EPA and field position. A single special team swing can drastically alter the outcome of this game. You've got to monitor punt protection leaks. You want to look at the quality of the snap and the hold. Watch the directional kicking and see whether the coverage units maintain their lane integrity. And don't forget to evaluate the returners on their fair catch decision-making. A muffed exchange or a poor return decision carries far more weight in an August exhibition than a minor schematic advantage on offense.
Finally, Section 5, Model Estimates and Verdict. Let's bring all this tactical breakdown together into our final projections. The predictive model projects an expected combined scoring total of exactly 37 points. Now, it is absolutely vital to understand that this projection assumes standard preseason scoring variance. It's actively accounting for a slower pace in the second half, numerous reserve possessions, and disciplined coverage tackling. To actually hit the over on this score, we would really need to see things like multiple backup protection breakdowns, producing very short fields, huge return mistakes, or unusually aggressive late fourth down attempts.
The model anchors the San Francisco 49ers with a 50.5% away win probability. This incredibly narrow edge is not some grand claim about regular season power ratings. It simply reflects the slight, tangible advantage of Kyle Shanahan's coaching and organizational continuity going up against a Chargers team that is implementing a brand new system under a new coordinator.
So let's quickly break down those full 1x2 win probabilities. The 49ers sit at that 50.5% mark with a projected score of 19. The Chargers at home are right behind them at 48.0% with a projected 18 points. And notice that 1.5% regulation tie estimate. Because preseason games can absolutely end level, this tie probability remains highly relevant until a late score truly separates the sides. This is, by design, a near coin flip contest.
But here is the most crucial sports analytics disclaimer for this fixture. Player availability has way more leverage than a narrow half-point rating difference. Any announced start-or-rest plan immediately supersedes this baseline forecast. If Los Angeles decides to give their starting offensive line a longer opening audition, or if San Francisco aggressively protects their veterans after that physical joint practice, the entire probability dynamic shifts. In the preseason, the rotation dictates the reality.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. When the final whistle blows at SoFi Stadium, will you be judging the box score or the foundational scheme implemented on the grass? Because the final score of an August exhibition is totally fleeting, but the depth of a roster, the communication of a backup offensive line, and the raw speed at which a quarterback processes a disguised coverage, that is the true tactical blueprint that will shape the regular season. Keep your eyes on the process and enjoy the game.